Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and I am so excited to share this beautiful conversation with you with my beautiful soul friend from South Africa, Elzette Le Roux. Thank you for being here and sharing your magic.
Oh, Kimmy, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. To just share this space with you, and I'm so looking forward to to just being with you in this moment, in this time and space. Thank you for this beautiful platform that you create. It's fantastic.
Yes, it's amazing. We already had some startup things happening, so we'll hope it doesn't start raining, but it's
well.
Yeah.
And if it rains, then that's the beautiful blessings from above and from Mother Gaia. So if she wants to bless us in that way, then who are we to say no? So
yeah, that's true.
Bring it on.
Yes.
Then we just move into the house. So
you get to see all the different
around it.
Yes, it is.
Yes, yeah. At the end of the time, I take you on a beautiful tour through my whole, my house, my garden, my space, everything. You're welcome.
Yes, who knows what the universe has in petto. But let's start with the beautiful conversation. I always like to ask everyone who joins, like, if you would look back now, what would you advise yourself a couple of years ago? With all
obviously, of course, I've listened to all the beautiful soul life conversations before, and I knew you're going to ask that question, so obviously I thought about it. And then I want to throw you a curveball back.
That's totally fine. Throw it back. Yes.
I'm joking. So it is. To me, it's a difficult question to answer, in the sense that if there is something that I could tell my old self before my awakening journey happened, I think a lot of what I would share to her, she would not hear, because she was not ready for that. So my me being here now, and in sharing with her what I know now, she will probably go, I don't really hear that.
Yes.
And I think probably because the reason for that is because the biggest relationship that was broken in my story, an unloop, getting here, was the broken relationship with self. And I think that's probably why me then would not have been able to hear. But then also I counter argument myself. One would say I have a law background, but it's also the counter argument to me is, but time is infinite. So whatever I say to me then now is also her hearing that now. Probably we also had this conversation then, and I was hearing what I had to hear then.
Yes.
So what I can share with you is rather framing the question differently. And that is like, what were the things that my higher self, that God, was communicating to me that I had to hear to wake up? And that's all different answer. So there was a couple of those that I had to hear for me to like really wake up.
Yeah,
and I believe timing was part and parcel of that.
Yeah, I love what you're sharing.
Location is very important.
Yes, it is.
Part of my awakening journey. So
Yes, it is. Yes. And also, it is also different for everyone, because some people are more of the words, some more of the energy, some more of the body sensations, or there are many ways in which we hear things and in which we process things. And but I love what you're sharing. It's like everyone on its own awakening journey has its own way of receiving information, and sometimes it's also like as you elevate, new things open up. So it's not like the information you have now or the consciousness will help you, but it's like being compassionate with yourself as you go through the journey, and also accepting. I love that in your story, accepting that you are perfectly where you are right now, and you are listening to this, and it's giving you tips, advice, and inspiration, and it's allowing that to unfold in your own time. Because sometimes we also force ourselves to be further ahead, because in the end it's like a spiral. So it's not a, but our logical mind likes to understand it that way, to sometimes be further ahead than we are. But it's also accepting that we are perfectly where we are right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. 3 things that you mentioned that I want to pick up on. The one is it happens different for everybody, absolutely. And we experience messages from God, we experience wake-up calls, we experience all things differently, as you indeed mentioned. So in my journey, it's very much intuitively. So, and as a young child, my mom used to say to me, oh yeah, Elzette had imaginary friends. But knowing what I know now, it was probably just inner conversations and, you know, that intuition conversations with my higher self, with the angels, with the dragons, with the fairies, who knows, with the unicorns and all of those around. But that's the one thing. It's like it shows up differently, and I'm obviously curious as to know how it shows up for you. Probably energetically, but that's a guess.
Yes.
That unfolded as I got to know you.
Yes.
And the second thing I want to pick up is this beautiful spiral. That is so true. And sometimes I find myself thinking, oh man, am I here again? It feels like a repeat. And then I realize, no, it's not.
No.
It feels like it's spiraling, and I'm in like revisiting a place that I've been.
Yeah.
But it's not, because my inner being and my perception on that shifted, and that makes it a whole different ball game. So that's that upward spiral. Yeah. And and then the third one I cannot remember now, and that's also okay.
Yeah, it will come. But it's also trusting. It is, I also believe it in myself. It is the awareness that supports us to see that we are in a different loop of the spiral. It's not like we are repeating the same old thing. It's like we are revisiting sometimes these, with the new knowledge, with the new tools, with the new love for self, revisiting these deep-rooted things within ourselves, so that we can heal another part of our journey, of our beingness, coming even more home to who we are in our essence. Yeah,
absolutely.
But your journey has gone very quickly. Like the last years are just in accelerated. Yeah,
basically. So location.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me, part and parcel of my very quick awakening, a lot of things obviously played into that. I believe the timing was right for me to really come to beautiful awarenesses. But I want to say something about intention or vision. So beforehand, I always had this inner knowing that I am here for bigger things. Now I also remember what I wanted to flag. The other thing was, you mentioned inspiring.
Yes.
So people can call it tips and tools and tricks, and what are your, what are your tips for awakening?
Yes.
But I more like to view each and every person, we are leaders. Each of us are leaders in your own way, in your own community, in your own circumstances, and leaders inspire. So to me, it's about inspiring. But anyway, so back to education. So I live in South Africa, and I moved, it will January be 2 years that I've moved to a beautiful part in our country, the southern part, the Western Cape part. It's near Cape Town, and I live in a magnificent town called Stellenbosch. I'm here, I'm held by Mother Earth, I'm held by Gaia, and I live in between the mountains and the winelands. You can see the vineyard there. So the vineyard also a very key theme for me in my awakening. I grew up in a Christian house, and limiting thoughts, patterns, beliefs, very much. South Africa, it's fear loaded. It's loaded with fear, and that's the second thing. And then I also discovered I've got a lot of trapped emotions in my body, and then I realized a lot of things I've grown attached to, because from that fear response and limitations, etc. And those in my journey the past 2 years also discovered, but that it started off as a tripod, the ego tripod, but then it got like the four pillars of ego, and ego is there to keep us safe. So I was in survival mode, very big, very much in survival mode because of separation from oneness. So I have managed to create and manifest all this beauty by help of God and spirit and all of the alike, but the whole universe playing their part. But all of this happened basically from me functioning from place of separation. And once I had like sort of shedding all of that, it was more and more becoming whole, and wholeness, healing is becoming whole again, to return to oneness. And now we can create from a different platform.
But also you had the deep desire. You had like the feeling you're meant for something bigger, even though the separation, even though the fear, that deep desire was stronger. And that was maybe subconsciously, but it feels like that was pushing you forward. That was pushing you to opportunities, to guidance, because you know deep within, this is not the life you're meant to live. It's not you're not meant to live in fear and in these illusion layers, and you're meant to just live a radiant life filled with connection.
I'm meant to thrive. We are all meant to thrive.
We all, yes, it is.
And I remember one funny part. I went one of my healing journey. There were a lot of role players on the road to it, and I went and see a hypnotist and Dr. Long, and I came to the first session, and I was like, he's like, okay, why are you here? I'm like, oh, Dr. Long, I've got a lot of problems, and he's like, Elzette, you don't have problems. I'm like, yes, I do. Of course I have problems, otherwise I would not have been here. But then it took him 3 times to repeat, you don't have problems. And then it sunk in, and I realized, interesting. You're right, I don't have problems. But I viewed the world around me and made the conclusion, the conclusion that I must have problems, because everybody and everything around me is weaved from problems, weaved with problems. So then for me to live and for me to be and for me to exist, then obviously I made the inference, I need to have problems, otherwise how do you exist?
Yes.
But that was a big paradigm. It was beautiful when in that realization, that moment of realization, oh wow, you're right. I don't have problems, but I am creating my problems. Therefore I have problems, or I think I have. So that was just one example.
That goes very deep. It's like also in what I noticed in my own journey, also in the previous, like in conversation with friends, we are so being taught to talk about what goes wrong, to talk about the past, to talk about, and by that we keep repeating all these patterns, and it's almost like it becomes our identity. But it's not. We can choose a totally different life. But that means like feeling so much desire within yourself, or being inspired by something that you feel, this is also what I want to create. Because I love when I see your journey, how much trust you have, and that you just, if you want something, you just do it, and you trust that the whole universe and all the abundance will align. And it's such a beautiful to witness how you just stand in that truth, and how you just stand in that. But it's again that deep desire, again that inner knowing, you are safe, you are supported, you are guided in any way. And it's beautiful to witness that.
Thank you, Kimmy, and thank you for trusting me to share my story on your platform.
It is inspirational.
You're beautiful, leaning into trust. And one of I want to get back to what you mentioned about that vision, that dream, because 100% spot on. A lot of time we are creations. No, we are expressions of the divine, of the vine, the divine. So we are expressions of divine. So the question is, of what divinity are you the expression of? So if my language and if what I share with the world, in other words, what I am expressing is all about, it's a horrible day. Oh yeah, we've got to have load shedding just now in South Africa, which is a wonderful thing. It buys you time out, 2 hours. A lot of people will say, oh, it's horrible, I can't plan my day and what. So they get stuck in that discourse. So it's all about survival and fearful spaces, etc., etc. So if that is what you express, then my question is, what divinity are you an expression of then? Are you then an expression of the god of fear, of the god of survival,
Yeah.
That is not source. That's not our creator. That's not God from oneness, because God is all about love. But if you are an expression of that love, then we're talking who's your God. Then we are talking what are you an expression of, and so share with me your vision. Share with me your dream. And it's amazing how many of us like are so stuck in survival that people don't have the ability anymore to share that dream and to share that vision.
Yeah.
And that was linking back to what you mentioned. That was part and parcel of my journey. I always had the vision, and my vision is you can call it heaven on earth. So the question is then, okay, what is heaven on earth? What does it mean?
Yeah.
So for me, my vision is to live my magnificent purpose to my fullest potential through oneness, through wholeness. And that implies healed relationships and beautiful connected relationships. And if that is my vision for me, that becomes the vision for the whole. Because I cannot be a true expression of the divine. I cannot guide or inspire or journey with others to get there if I am not living that. So that's why in my journey, the relationship with self had to heal, very muchly so. My connection with the divine was there.
Yeah.
But the big one was my relationship with self, to like really for me, and it's an ongoing journey. I'm not saying I'm there already, and that's the wonderful of it.
Yeah.
So, but it's being and becoming, and being and becoming, and that's spiral again.
Yeah.
But creating from oneness, we are whole, in wholeness. Then we can live truly our magnificent purpose, why we are here, and each purpose is different. Because each of us have different gifts and abilities and talents and strengths and superpowers and whatever. So,
but that's also that's necessary, because the earth needs all these diversities on things, but just from oneness. And I love how you share that. And it's like it is becoming yourself. It's embracing yourself with love, with everything that you are, and from that just being and radiating, and that's what we're doing. So it's also what I love, but it is within the whole Soul Love podcast. It's like it is through our beingness. You don't have to do more. You don't have to learn more. It's that it is even more unlearning and coming back to the essence of who you are, so that you can just be, and from that beautiful things open up, because then you're connected to source, then you receive the guidance, then you are connected to everything that is there, and you will see that things start to shift. But it's also really you choosing to step in that space, because it can be difficult. It's also what I notice within sometimes friendships change, because you like to talk about dreams and inspiration, and they like to talk about all things, and that's fine. Because when you move on and when you are more yourself, you meet beautiful soul family from all over the world, and that's just beautiful. But it's by stepping up in your own beingness that you get these different. It is finding yourself worthy enough to create your dreams, finding yourself worthy enough to follow that vision that you hold, like you yourself, the vision you were meant for something bigger. Somewhere in the process, you found yourself worthy enough to follow that, to go for that, to do something different. And I love how that just, how then everything unfolds, and how, but it's a journey of unlearning. It's a journey of embracing yourself. It's a journey of healing. And but it's so rewarding. That's
absolutely. And part of my journey of that unlearning was, like I mentioned now, was to me the tripod, or the four corners of ego, because ego's prime function is to keep you safe. But that safety is an illusion. So it's basically ego is holding on to ego for dear life, because if ego dies, then ego's dead. So ego's whole purpose is to keep ego alive, basically, and sort of keep you separated. So part of the unlearning in my journey was unlearn the fear, unlearn fear imprinted ways of surviving. Unlearning limiting thoughts, patterns, and beliefs. That's a huge one, especially from the house I grew up in South Africa. Very, very limiting paradigms. And I'm going to be bold and just say it. A lot of that limiting thoughts, patterns, and beliefs comes from the church and from the church communities, and sadly so. So the contrary happens. Instead of going to church and thriving with community and oneness, it happens on the contrary. So limiting thoughts, patterns, and beliefs I had to unlearn. Emotions that got stuck, I had to unlearn. I had to release. I had to tune in and discover who they are. And yeah, I've journeyed with beautiful people who helped me on the way. So Frances helps with untrapped emotions. She's a beautiful being. And there are others as well, worldwide. And then attachments, to unlearn how to attach. And that's like and people think, but sometimes no, but if I say detachment, I refer to the Toltec way of detaching. There's beautiful books about that. People can go and search that. But it's no longer clinging to it. So also, and you mentioned now those old relationships that shed. So relationships is a big theme in my life, and I treasure all relationships. I used to be friends with all my exes. So and that in itself is not a healthy thing, perhaps, but I don't know, each to his own.
Yes.
But again, it's in the releasing, or rather the detachment thereof. So in other words, if I had to unlearn that, then now there becomes a void, there becomes an open space, there becomes possibility.
Yes.
And just this morning, I thought this beautiful one, when I was looking at the mountain, I thought, through possibility, we have the ability to stir up the mountains. We can move mountains.
Yes,
when you're tapping possibility.
Yes,
right?
It is.
Anyway, so that's a new theme. But yeah. So what that a void created. So what came in its place? Beautiful. Creating now from oneness and love. And how does that look? That gets filled with spaces of compassion, with grace, with trust. You mentioned, and with detachment. Detachment from expectations, you know that one. Detachment from those relationships we hold so dearly to. Detaching from all of that which I mentioned. To like really stand in our truth and in our uniqueness, in our oneness, and to heal those beautiful relationships, so that the result thereof can be divine harmony and peace. Result obviously is love as well, because now we create from love. So that becomes, if you can view like a pyramid. So the four corners, to me in my story, was grace, compassion, trust, and detachment. And the top of the pyramid is love. And then the result of that, and a very key component, the obelisk for me, in other words, the one that channeled the frequency for that pyramid to get activated, was gratitude. Definitely gratitude.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. Yes. And that's already a simple one to integrate in your life. Just in each and every moment, see where you can be grateful for, and it allows you to raise your vibration. It's by you choosing to see something different in your everyday experience. It's by you, because it's like, it can be very simple. It's you shifting your inner paradigm. And although all these emotions come up and all these old limitations, it's you choosing to take control over your life in a loving, soothing way. It's you choosing to create something different. And I love that. But gratitude is a beautiful one that spirals, and that almost like a foundation guides all the rest up. So beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, there are so many books out there for those of you listening and watching. Those of you like me, I like information. I like reading. I like learning. So that was also part of my journey. You, Kimmy, on the other hand, like all about diving
experience.
in and experience.
I'm just about the energy and not all the knowledge and the vibrations and Although I've read a lot of books, but it's like
of course. Like you read
remember them. I just I get the energy and then I let it go again.
Yeah, exactly. So and again, our beautiful different strengths and talents. So part of my strength combination is learner and input. So learner, I love to learn for the sake of learning and learning about people and humanness and myself, etc. And that was part of the discovery. But then input, I gather information. I've got a stack of books, like online and physical or whatever, and like you say, I can reference them or whatever. But that's just the different ways we work. But I even had a book to guide me through conscious gratitude, to practice gratitude, because that was something I had to learn. And then a whole lot of things shift, because viewed from that place of gratitude, it's a whole paradigm shift.
It is.
When you are, so like today, I'm grateful for load shedding between 10 and 12, because that could because that could shift our conversation to earlier and water cool.
But it's seeing
yeah.
the opportunities and seeing the, because also what I wanted to share, like you before said, like sometimes we're so in the ego mind and we're so in fight, flight and freeze, and then we don't see the opportunities anymore. But this system is created to keep us in the same old position because it knows how bad your life is, but it knows you are safe, it knows you won't die, so it would like to repeat those patterns. Nobody is like, so sometimes you think, why if something beautiful happens, why does my ego doesn't like this? But it's just because it wants to keep you in the same old spirals where you were before, and it doesn't matter how these spirals look like, but it kept you safe. Your ego mind knows what is happening in those situations. Yes, safe. But we're so afraid to live a different life. And that's also why I've created this Soul Love podcast, because we need inspiration. We need to see that if we're willing to go through these journeys, beautiful things open up. But it's through our own embodiment, because that's also what I'm all about. It's not like the loose words. It's through us experiencing it ourselves, sharing our stories, sharing our beingness to inspire others. But it's through living it. It's like in our embodied words, in our embodied experiences. And that's why I love you sharing also these stories. It's like, there you can already start with gratitude. You can already start by choosing to see your environment differently, by choosing to make different decisions about your thoughts and your conversations. And these are sometimes from our logical mind, they sound so simple, but they are so profound. It are these simple things that change so much. And that's so, you don't have to have all these enormous things. It's like,
like I'm blessed enough in this timeline on Earth now to I just need to care for me in that sense. I don't have a family, I don't have children. I've got my closest two children is my sister's two boys, my sister's children. So my sister one day asked me, but Swissy, where do I start? How do I do this? Because she's got a family, she runs the whole family, she's got your husband and the two boys surrounded by these men, all this ego, and her shedding her own ego, etc. Where to start? And I say to her, two things. You can start with two things. The one is become aware of your self-talk. And when you bash yourself, you mentioned, no, one of my storylines was not good enough. So I viewed myself as not good enough. And I would be my worst critic. And like in that realization, I was like, oh my word, why am I talking like that to myself when I would never talk like that to anyone else? But yet I was like bashing myself, like really worst critic. So saying to my sister, first thing is just become aware. You don't even have to change it now. Just become aware of what self-talk are you busy with. All those I ams we say. I am tired. I don't have money. I don't have time. I am not blah blah blah. So be aware of all those I ams. Become aware of that, and then see what you can shift through gratitude. And if you start with those two, then already massive paradigm, massive energy healing and clearing. Because a lot of us who don't have necessarily children or what, we can do the work in that sense, and we put it back into the collective field. And it's once you tap into that collective field that we heal and we grow and we glow together. So then almost like my sister who got a different circumstances, etc., she shades quicker in any way.
But it is, I also have a young family, and it's like, but it's also beautiful to teach our children. I teach my girls to be grateful. I teach my girls to learn how to manifest, how to learn to use their words and their thoughts for what they want to create, for the openness. Because I think especially also in that there's so much that we can already give to our children. And even though, they know much more than we are, but it's like we create this space for them to be themselves and to really grow into the magnificent being that they are meant to be. But it starts by these little things, like instead of us giving them fear and limitations, giving them like beautiful awarenesses of how they can create the life they desire by their thoughts, by their words. Because I love what you shared, the I am is so powerful. It is reminding that every time we speak, we put an energy out into the world. So what do we speak about? What do we want to bring into our energy field? What do we want to bring into our presence, into our reality? And there are yeah, this is just an ever learning, because we all have these moments where we are in doubt, or where we see that we're blaming ourselves or shaming ourselves, but then it's becoming aware and not judging that, but choosing to take a different route.
Grace. Absolutely.
Yes. So I love you sharing that.
Hold space for yourself with grace.
Yeah.
So so definitely.
Because even in awareness, it's not judging then. Because that's also sometimes what we do. Okay, I need to be aware. And then I notice that I'm blaming myself or shaming myself or something. And then you go start judging that you do that. And then it's like this ongoing.
Exactly. Yeah. So in that awareness, stop. You become aware, you stop doing what you do, and you change it through love, through gratitude, or whatever. So it's back to what you say, it's about being. So at one stage, one of my processes of going through was, like I said, I'm very, very much a lot in my head. So for me, it was about thinking, being, doing. So what was I thinking? What am I thinking? What are my thoughts busy with? Become aware of that, change that, because that then filtrates back into my beingness, the I ams, and that becomes the expression of whoever I am.
Yeah.
So the thinking, being, doing. For others, it will be, your case, it will be doing, being, and then thinking.
And that's also good. We have all the, and that's, I think that's beautiful. We just need to embrace who we are, and then we need to close because load shedding starting, but we need to embrace who we are and not compare ourselves with others. It's like me owning who I am and my ways of processing, and yours. And it's also the new earth is all about coming together, because you're so good in what you're doing. And I mean, like, we need each other to grow and expand and to, You
know what? Also, again, in words, if we say we need each other, we actually say we are lacking not having one another. So it's got an energy of lack. But if I say I desire to co-create with others, it's got a whole different frequency. Or I enjoy others. Different frequency than when we need. So language, I love language.
You're really good with words.
But on mantras. So I developed myself. I realized I have a lot of mantras going in my head and they were not good. So I shifted. And I just want to share with like two mantras that sort of sums up my purpose in life, I believe, at this point in time. And these things, I wrote them down and I read them and I feel them every single day. And with our beautiful journey in Glastonbury as well, just the other day, it felt like, oh, wow, I'm living it now. They are true. They are coming true. And that's just like magnificent once you realize that power of that potential.
It is.
But the one is a question I journeyed with, and that is, what is your soul desire? It's not your ego desire. Oh, I want some money. I want some time. No, man. Go deeper. Go back into your heart space. Drop right in there. Obviously, it takes time to get there. But anyway, so go to your soul desire. And my soul desire, backed by faith, is to live my extraordinary purpose to its fullest potential in strong connection of oneness and loving relationships, beingness through oneness, wholeness for and from love. That's my first one. And then the second one, and this is just making me excited, I yearn. That's like I yearn for beauty to be manifested in all worlds. That's Amaru, the word there. To assist in the creation of divine harmony through sacred activism and expression of my soul talents with soul family, so we can shift from knowing to being to doing.
So
I'll leave it at that. Then I've got another one. But there's a whole list of mantras. But
but it's beautiful, and you're committing yourself to the journey, and I think that's the way. It's committing yourself to what your heart desires. And it's also my book, Activating the Flower of Love, supports in that as well. It constantly invites you to go a layer deeper within your desires, because it is about the essence. And once you know the essence, it will propel you forward. But it's discovering the essence without all the other layers that are there. So
absolutely. And that book of yours, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I love your book. I love the whole frequency of your book. I love what you share in your book, and I haven't even read it through. But it's such a beautiful gift. Thank you for the gift. And anyway, but yeah, for those listening and watching this, you have to get Kim's book. It's a must because it's
Yes.
just a beautiful. If you want tips and tools and guides, etc., that's just a beautiful, tangible, thing that can become a guide in the soul process. So I love your book. Thank you that you.
But even for me, the teachings are still deepening my own experience. So it's like there are so many things to get out of it, and with new awarenesses, you read new things, and so it's beautiful.
Because it's multidimensional, your book. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Before load shedding starts, I want to thank you for being here and for sharing. And I think load shedding just started. So to you listeners, this is what is happening, and it's just being in the flow and being in the now moment, and just being with whatever comes up. So we thank Elzette for spending time with us and sharing her beautiful story, and I thank you all for being here, for following your heart, following your dreams, and I'll see you in the next Soul Love podcast. Much love. So as load shedding started, I also just wanted to thank you for being here and just taking a little moment to express my gratitude for you sharing your story, sharing your wisdom. And I love how you are so good with words and know how to bring things, into a beautiful way. So thank you for sharing and for being in this space. And I want to say to all the listeners as well, if you want to find Elzette's magic, she does beautiful things. You can find it below this beautiful interview and this beautiful sharing of the heart. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you for providing this beautiful platform. You are so amazing in creating spaces, and thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your love and your light unconditionally, wholeheartedly, in other words. Yes. So thank you for being a stronghold and a leader in that sense. And I love you so much. And thank you.
So much love. And it's so great, and we're going to do another one in a while, but it's so great to share these spaces with all of you, and I feel so blessed because it truly is, these connections really spark my life and my beingness, and it's really amazing how we just grow and expand together, and just the magic that unfolds from that. So I'm grateful that I get to co-create with you.
Yay,
and excited of all that is coming. So thank you also for me. You're constantly teaching me to use my words even more differently so they become more magical. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We glow as we grow.
It is. So, yes. So enjoy your you time. Now it's load shedding, the time for yourself. And yes, I'll see you in the next podcast. And for everyone joining, also see you the next time. Much love. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.